Okay, so we're going to cover a cake with whipped butter ganache. So we'll start with the whipped butter ganache and put it across the top of the buttercreamed cake. Now I'm doing this fondant, so I've done a buttercream, then a ganache, and then I'll do my fondant. But you can just put the ganache straight on the top of a crumb coat cake. So all I've done is tried to make it as even as possible and then kept my palette knife as flat as I can so that it's even, and then lock my arm, look in the one place where my fingers are and just spin that cake around. Now it's all about looking in the one place, which I always say, and so long as you do that, so on the side, completely level, look in the one place, the other hand just moves it around and there is no added work. When you look away, you're going to drop your arm and it's not going to work. Same here, I'm doing exactly the same thing with the scraper. So once I've created the flat top, that just finishes it off completely. So all I've done with that is look in the one place again and then just moved it around with a locked arm. So now taking chunks of the whipped ganache, we are just going to cover all around the sides. Don't worry about whether it is actually going to be straight or not, because we'll sort that out when we go round afterwards. So keep adding it on all the way around. Also, this is because it's whipped, it is quite aerated, but that's going to sort itself out as well. The one thing you do need to remember is with this one, it's a little bit more forgiving, but you do have to use ganache quite quickly because it'll pull, but I'm going to show you that as we go on. Okay, so I'm just cleaning up around the bottom a little bit there with my palette knife. And then we're going to come in with the cake scraper. So I've balanced that on my little finger as usual, locked my arm, looking in that one place only and spinning with the other arm. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know what technique I use for this, and I should go through some prompts on the screen. So have a little look. I will leave a link underneath this one if you haven't seen it. So as I've gone round, you can see where there are holes and gaps, and just go around and fill those up. Now across the top there, I dab, because otherwise if you need to add extra across those top parts, when you smooth, you just push it back in again. So whenever you're going around the top, I always just dab it on. Okay, you can see how smooth that's become. A lot of those air pockets have come out. So I'm just going around and getting those last little bits in, but you can really see it coming together. Now, whilst I'm doing this, it may start to pull in a second because it's been quite a while. See those air bubbles at the front there? That's showing it's starting to pull as it goes around. So let's see what happens now. There. See all the pulling that's happening. Now this is typical of ganache, and that can happen. So we can sort that. I'm going to carry on and I'm going to show you how you stop this from happening, because I wasn't completely happy, so I had to keep going, but it is creating that drag. So what we need to do is go over the ganache that's drying with fresh ganache there, and that'll allow you to continue the process. So everywhere where it pulls, we just put a bit of fresh ganache over the top of that. There we go. And I'm happy enough with that. I'm just going to go in around the bottom parts there. And we've got some pulling that just happened around the back there. So we're just going to go over that with fresh ganache to just give it some moisture across the top, so as we go around it doesn't pull anymore. You might think this is a lot of fuss, but when it's done, it is just absolutely perfect. So it's just doing it quick enough that you don't get too much drag, and if you do get drag, then just cover that section over. Now, I have been going around in a whole sweep. You don't need to. You can do this in bite-sized pieces now because the cake is completely smooth. So you can just do it section by section. So if you've got a little bit there that has dragged, you can just smooth over that one part. With Ganache, it is very forgiving and it comes back in together really easily. There, I just did that one section and left it. Now I'm just going to do that section. And there we go. And see how that's come in together? There was no need to keep going all the way around. Once you're happy with most of the parts of it, leave those alone. And that's those little bites all around. But it's not like buttercream. It's so forgiving. So that's all blended in absolutely beautifully. All of those air pockets have gone, and just having it whipped is a much easier ganache to work with. So if you're struggling with ganache, I really suggest you use the butter ganache and whip it up, and it'll behave a little bit more like buttercream for you. So now I just pop that into the fridge for about half an hour, and then I've got a mug of boiling water which I'm putting a spoon, not a spoon, which I'm putting a knife into, and just making sure that is completely flat across the top and picking the bits off. Now you can pop those bits into a tub, and if you need to top up any little bits, then you can use that again. So there you go. Every time in between, I reheat the knife, wipe it off with a bit of paper, and then just go back round again. Once you're happy, do the whole circle, making sure you do as usual, look in the one place, lock that other arm, and you'll get completely even amount across the top. It'll all be so flush and exact. Now I'm just using my palette knife there just to pull those bits in so that it is all completely level. And I am using some of those bits that we just used and just topping up in there. So the bits on the side that I've put into a little bowl, you don't need to melt them again. You can just use them like that. And there we have it, a completely clean butter ganache cake. So hope this was helpful. See you soon.